The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before human beings, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." The Gospel of the Lord. I debated about beginning with a story tonight. The story has nothing to do with my homily, and actually it's a bit of a groaner probably, but I thought, well, we're not doing too bad time-wise, so I'll share it with you, and you'll probably be the only group this weekend that will hear it. Most of you know that recently I was away on vacation, and while I was on vacation, we went to one of the islands, and we were getting off the ship, and I bumped into this lady named Peggy. And we started a conversation, and she was going to this same park that we were going to, just to, take in the scenery there and all that kind of thing. So we went together, and as we went to this park, we noticed that there are a whole bunch of rabbits running around this park. I mean, that was a bit unusual. We might see iguanas or something like that where we're going, but there was all these rabbits, these bunnies running all over the place. And so as we were there, we noticed that one seemed to be having some difficulty. It had a sore foot of some kind, so it wasn't able to hop around as well. And Peggy was one of these that cared about animals, and not that I don't, but not in the way that she did. And so she ran over to this bunny, and she thought, oh, I got to do something to help it. And so she took its foot, and she grabbed into her bag, and she had this little ointment kind of stuff or whatever, this tube of stuff that she put on its foot, and lo and behold, it was made better again. Hopped away. I thought, oh, well, good for that rabbit, and I guess good for Peggy. So we sat there for a little bit, and then we said, well, why don't we walk around the park and just check it all out? So we walked around the park, and there was that bunny. And as we were walking, as we passed by it, the bunny was going like this to us. And I thought, oh, well, this bunny must be very happy that, he's got his foot fixed. And so we continued walking. Second time around, there was that bunny. I don't know if he was smiling, but he definitely was waving. And so, we walked around the park about 5 or 6 times, and every time there was this bunny waving at us. And I thought, okay, I don't quite get this, but whatever. And so I finally turned to Peggy and I said, what was it that you put on his foot? She said, I don't know. She said, it was something that I got at the spa. I thought, oh, well, they're always trying to sell something at the spa, so I thought maybe actually some of it works. And so I said, well, can you get it out of your bag? She said, oh, yeah. So she pulls it out of her bag, and lo and behold, you know what it was? Permanent wave for damaged hair. If you think about it, yeah, okay. Okay, as I said, nothing to do with the homily. Jesus says in our gospel today, you are the salt of the earth, and you are the light of the world. So this fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time calls us to be light for others. When people care for those in need, they show the world what God's love looks like. We make the world a brighter place. So this Sunday reminds us that faith is not just about personal belief, it is also about action, as we've heard at different times before. We are called to be salt of the earth and light for the world. And I don't know about you, but many times it's like, okay, that sounds like a pretty big task to do. I got to be light for the world. Sometimes it's hard to just be light for myself in my own little room. So how can I do this for the world? And maybe that's part of the realization that we have to come to is, as much as Jesus is saying you are salt of the earth and light of the world, we need to start small And maybe that's all that God is asking us to. Maybe all we're asked to be is light for the world of our living room or our kitchen. Maybe that's where the light needs to be lived. And maybe that's something that is doable by us. For your light for the world every time you change your child's diaper. I'm sure they appreciate it, and I'm sure the other members of your family appreciate it when you do that. But that's bringing light. You're doing a goodness. Your light for the world when you prepare your family meal. Your light for the world when you help your brother or sister with their homework. Your light for the world or salt of the earth when you clean up your room without making a big deal about it. When you offer to help to do chores beyond the ones that you have been assigned. Your light for the world when you turn off social media or the TV and listen to the day that your spouse or your child or your friend might have had. Your light for the world when you get dressed up with your winter coat, leave the warmth of your house to help scrape the ice or the snow off the vehicle of your spouse or your parent when it's their car, but you're still going to help them get ready to go. That's being light for the world. Now, is that on that big scene? No, it's not. But it's bringing light to where you're at. And that's what we are called to do. And we have to be careful, too, as Isaiah warns us. Sometimes it's not just a case of doing good. We have to make sure that we are not doing the dark things either, like bringing harsh words or judgment to our lives, as Isaiah warns us. Whenever we speak with anger or hate, that adds to darkness to the world. And Jesus didn't say, add to darkness. He said, you are the light of the world. So not only do we have to do good, we have to make sure that we're avoiding doing that which does not bring light. And love and kindness ultimately pushes back against any negativity. And that's our mission, to bring that light around us. And after we've looked at perhaps our own little space, that's the part that I would suggest that you focus first and foremost, work on that. Then maybe we can expand to look beyond that. And that's where our first reading gives us some good insights into that too. Because if we listen to that first reading, many of the things that Isaiah was speaking of are what we call in the church corporal works of mercy. And we have 7 of those. And so I'm just going to quickly go through them, give you a couple of examples of each. One of those corporal works of mercy is to feed the hungry. During Lent coming up, we're going to be having a food drive for our St. Vincent de Paul. That's a way that you can exercise one of those corporal works of mercy to feed the hungry, bring light to those who are in need of food. Perhaps another flip side to that too is when you're purchasing food, make sure you only purchase what you need to. How many of us look in the fridge and go, ooh, what was that before? Or maybe that's just my fridge. Should we be more careful in how we purchase our food and make sure that we're eating all of that? So feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty. Maybe donate to help places that need to build wells for water for those in need. Again, that sort of opposite thing to, instead of like not wasting food, don't waste water. Do we let the water run the whole time that we're brushing our teeth? We can shut it off and just turn it on when we need to. Third corporal work of mercy, shelter the homeless. Can we get involved in a local homeless shelter or volunteer some of our time? Or maybe not always just dealing with the homeless, but those who are struggling in some kind of way. Can we help those ministries? Very strong ministry within our Family of Parishes is the Second Chance Ministry. Can we help them in some way? Either by donating or offering our services. Save a Family plan, we heard about that at Christmas time. Those are ways that we can help, and the Save a Family would be helping those families in India. Another corporal work of mercy is visit the sick. Sometimes the sick seem to get abandoned or we avoid them. I don't always know what to say there either, and they're in their pain or they're suffering and they're going through what they're going through, but just being there can be such an important thing. Maybe give someone who's sick a phone call, an email, send them a pick-me-up card, offer a prayer for them. This coming week we have World Day of the Sick that we designate for the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes, where the church acknowledges the importance of reaching out to the sick. Maybe another angle of visiting the sick or helping the sick is donating, like giving blood. I guess we don't give blood so much in our area, but now we have where you can donate your plasma. And maybe that's another way that we can respond to the sick. Another corporal work of mercy is visit prisoners. Well, maybe that's not comfortable for many of us, but we can pray for them or pray for their families. Anytime somebody that's been convicted and is going through that, that can really be a tough thing for the family, so we can offer prayer for them. Bury the dead, another corporal work of mercy. Similar to visiting the sick, go to a funeral of someone that you know. Again, many times we don't know what to say, but it's your presence that says so much. Just being there, once again, can be very important. And to be compassionate for someone who has experienced the death of a loved one. That's so hard, especially when you hear of these people that have been married for so many years. That's been their life partner, and now all of a sudden they're not there anymore. How do we respond to them? How can we listen to their sharing of the story? Can we encourage them perhaps to be part of our grief share program so that they can be with other people that are going through similar kinds of things? We've been asking for help with our card ministry for our grieving people. It's a simple ministry. That's so important. Many have told me that when they receive that card in the mail, we send a few cards out throughout the year, special times, for someone that has lost a loved one. And it's just a way that the parish reaches out to them. But we need somebody to address the envelopes and put the stamps on, or, sign them, those kinds of things. So it doesn't take long, but it means so much. And we could use your help with that. You can talk to Betty to do that. Or even a further way of burying the dead is maybe looking at your own death. It's like, whoa, who wants to do that? But we're all going to have to face it at some point. And wouldn't it be nice if your funeral has actually been designed by you? You've chosen the readings. You've chosen the hymns. You've done all the planning, which makes it, therefore, it's going to be according to what you wish. And we can keep that on file in the parish if that's helpful for you. But second of all, it relieves your family from having to do that at a time that they got so many other things that are going through their minds and their hearts. Trying to plan a funeral at that point can be a challenge. So maybe that's a way that we can bury the dead, do that corporal work of mercy. And lastly, to give alms to the poor, which I think we all understand what that means. And with Lent coming up, that might be a time for us to think about how can we give, or how can we give up something, that latte each day, or going to the restaurants as often as we do, maybe not so often, and take the money that we would have used for that to give to the poor, to the church, whatever, to share Lent. So as we go forward, yes, we are called to be that light for the world. And to do that with confidence. Paul speaks of the weakness that he had. That was St. Paul. So if he understood and had weakness, you too, just turn to the Lord. He'll help you. Whomever God has sent to you to love today, just do that. Love them. Sometimes we're surprised who God might have placed in our path today. But each time you love, you're bringing that light to him. And so perhaps we conclude by asking the Lord to help us to be salt and light for the world, to give us courage to act with love and kindness, to help us trust in Jesus even when we feel weak. May our actions bring hope to others and lead them closer to you, the true light of the world.